Do you ever wonder how to create secure and safe relationships? Does that feel hard for you to even imagine? Then watch this month's book therapy pick because it's a must read for you. Hey there, if you're new around here, my name is Diana Garcia. I'm a licensed therapist in Florida and owner of a private practice called Nurturing Minds Counseling. All right, my monthly book therapy pick is where I pick one mental health self-help book to review, recommend, and at least pick out 3 insights in case you never get to actually read the book. Hit that subscribe button now to stay on top of more updates, book recommendations, and more tips to continue nurturing your mind, body, and soul. All right, let's jump into this month's pick. All right, so this month's book therapy pick is The Power of Attachment: How to Create Deep and Lasting Intimate Relationships by Dr. Diane Poole Heller. I came across this book recommendation actually in a group that I'm in with other couples therapists, and this recommendation came along about a good book to help clients kind of really learn and navigate their attachment systems, both individually or with couples. And so I picked it up and I really enjoyed it. I thought she gave a lot of useful tools and tips and explanations. So let's jump into the summary. As you can see from the screen here, the book is broken down into 5 chapters. That might not sound like a lot, but each chapter is pretty meaty, has a lot of information and exercises. At the beginning, the introduction, she kind of goes through a little bit explaining her story. She talks about, I believe right before her wedding, she was in a really difficult car accident and how that really shifted things for her, and really this journey of starting to understand trauma better and understand the role that it had not only in her life and how to move through that, but also in her clinical work. She also kind of talking about this trauma piece. She talks about kind of viewing in her experience trauma, not just necessarily the way it's traditionally viewed in terms of kind of these life-altering events or these instances where it's life and death or there's this harm that's coming to you, but also viewing it for her from like this broken connection lens. So broken connection to yourself, to your body, to the world, to others. And I think that big piece is like that attachment piece coming in. I thought that was an interesting take to it. Then you can see that each attachment style has a chapter. For this video, I'm actually not going to go over the attachment style, so stay tuned for another video where I'll dedicate to each attachment style because I think I want to do it justice. Okay, so then we go through and just kind of in each chapter, she has exercises, ultimately with the goal to help you understand each attachment style, and also exercises to help you either reinforce a secure attachment style or help you kind of break through some patterns that aren't working for you if you really relate to one of the other attachment styles. Before we actually jump into the insights, it's helpful for me to at least give you a brief overview of what I mean by attachment styles. I'm not going to go through the actual attachment styles, just attachment styles in general. It's a common way that you engage with others. So common patterns, thoughts, behaviors, the way you feel in relationships, whether you feel safe and secure, and whether you can foster safe and secure relationships, whether you feel kind of more untethered and it brings up a lot of anxiety, or maybe a lot of fears, or maybe you feel really kind of, you can't really have deep and intimate connections for some reason. So attachment styles are common ways of relating that you relate to in your relationships. What's really important is that early attachment figures, right? So your relationships with early attachments really have a huge influence on that, right? So your relationships with your parents in childhood or your parental figures, not to say that they're so set in stone or rigid, right? Really, there's a whole piece on neuroplasticity and really how we can do behaviors to really shift into more of a secure attachment style. But recognizing that early life experiences and ongoing experiences do play an influence in terms of your attachment style. All right, now let's jump into the insights. Okay, so insight number 1 is really an exercise. Since this book had a lot of exercises, I wanted to actually give you concrete tools to help you. So this first one is really exploring maybe your relationship with your parental figures. Again, since I just explained that your attachment styles are influenced by early childhood experiences, I wanted you to do an exercise that might help you start to explore this or have a better understanding of how it could be having an impact in your life. So this first one is broken down into 2 parts. Part 1 is really where you're just going to start to list like what was missing or hurtful in your childhood, like per parent. So if you were raised in a traditional, like 2 parents raised you, if not just whoever your parental figures are, list like maybe the hurts or the difficulties that you experienced in childhood based on your parents' imperfections, and really acknowledge how that impacted you, how you make sense of it. And I encourage you maybe even take it a step further and realize, like, is that something that you think still shows up for you now? Again, the goal isn't to like make your parents like these big bad guys. It's really to understand the impact that these behaviors could have had on you and still are showing up. The second one, then, again, to really balance this is what was beneficial or supportive. And that might be hard, especially if you had difficult relationships with your parents, or maybe you still do, but really taking a lens of like, how do your parents show love and care in their own way, right? Even on their best day or the best day in your childhood, what was that like? What can you think about that each parent, how they showed love? Again, maybe it might not have been the way you wanted to receive it, but their intention behind it. So this exercise, I think, is a good exercise for you, again, to start exploring your relationship with your early attachment figures and seeing if you think there's something there for you to move through and work on. Okay, insight number 2, she has secure attachment skills that she really references to boost up secure attachment, whether you gravitate towards that attachment style or not. I really picked this one out, practicing attunement, because I think it's really important to practice that in your relationships, and I think it's a crucial piece to secure attachment. So attunement is really when you are genuinely interested in your partner's experience. You show kind of kindness, curiosity, trying to be there, not just in the good moments, but when your partner's having a difficult experience, a sense of like what's going on. You're really kind of attuned to what's going on in their life generally. You also know kind of not only kind of mentally what's happening for them, but like their emotional landscape. And if you don't know, again, you try to really understand. Ultimately, also, it's the sense that your partner really feels like you're there for them and really get them. I think this other piece that she talks about, these 3 types of empathy, which she credits to Dan Goleman, who credits Paul Ekman. I think it's helpful to review these 3 pieces quickly. Cognitive empathy, it's more just understanding your partner. I'm using partner, but anyone's perspective. Just like logically, you can understand what they're thinking, why they're thinking that. Empathy, emotional empathy, it's really resonating with their feelings. So not only just like thinking, but you can also really get their emotional landscape and why. But then he talks about empathetic concern or compassionate empathy. They kind of use both. It's true attunement. That's really when not only are you encompassing the previous 2, but you're making an effort to really show your partner that they're not alone. You are there with them. If they're struggling, that impacts you as well. And that's true empathetic concern. And again, this whole piece of attunement, I think it's just helpful in figuring out how you can practice that with your partner, important people in your life, right? And I just think about simple things like when you're spending time with the people in your life, are you even trying to be attuned? Are you like listening half-heartedly? Are you on your device? Are you focused on something else? Right? I think of also John Gottman's kind of bids for connection. When your partner or people in your life do bids for connections, how do you respond to that? You can check out this video on one of the John Gottman's books that I reviewed if you want more information. But either way, I think attunement is really, really crucial. And also I'd encourage you to think about how attuned do you feel that your partner is to you or the people in your life? Do you think they really get you? They really know you? They know what's going on for you? Let me know how you're going to practice attunement in your relationship. Again, my whole point in reviewing insights that have exercises is so that you can actually practice this in your life. So let me know in the comments below, what are you going to do or what you can continue to do to practice attunement in your relationship? Number 3, I think, is a little fun one, an easy one. It's called mentor couples. What do I mean by that, or what does she mean by that? It's thinking about couples in your life that you can really either look up to or really notice what they're doing really well in their relationship. So pretty much couples that are securely attached. There's an exercise that has you kind of think through who that really is. And so some traits of these couples to think about are kind of some that I listed here, right? There's like mutual attraction, commitment. I even just think about like you can sense their energy when you're around them. Like I did the exercise and I thought of a couple that came to mind, and I just could tell, like as I was thinking about this couple, like the way they engage, like when I see them, I could just tell like their level of secure attachment. They're very friendly, they have fun together again, and these are also traits. They like one makes the other feel special. They both make them feel special. They can easily transition from being alone to being together. And then of course, maybe you might not see this, but you have a sense that they can co-regulate or engage in conflict resolution. Or maybe you can, right? Because maybe you either have never seen them in conflict, or when you have noticed things start to kind of pop off, you can see the way they handle it really de-escalates it pretty quickly. So again, I thought this was an easy exercise and helpful because it also made me think recently in a conversation, someone said to me, like, I have no frame of what secure attachment is. I don't have a model. I don't have a relationship in my life that I can reference. And that might be really difficult if you don't have a direct experience. You might have to really think through. She talks about, because this is also a recommendation from, I believe, another therapist, but like thinking even like in popular media, is there a TV or a movie where you can kind of pick out a secure attachment, because that might be really helpful as well as a model, right? And I think it's helpful to think about this in the sense, if you're trying to foster more secure attachment in your life, think through, like, I don't know, what would Bob and Sally do in this situation, right? And I always think that's really helpful to shift out of our own perspective and see someone else's perspective and have this model of someone else that can be helpful. I hope you're interested enough to go pick up this book. The link to the book is in the description below, because I do think that it's an important topic, and the reality is we all strive for secure attachment and connection. That's a normal human drive. I'm still doing my monthly book therapy giveaway, so look again below to see how you can enter that. And as always, I encourage you to continue thinking how you can nurture your mind, body, and soul, whether that's individually or in relationship. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.